All right, let's do this. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready. What are we getting into today?
Today, we're tackling Sweet Child of Mine. You know it, you love it. It's a Guns N' Roses classic, but today, we're going to take apart the lyrics, see what makes it tick.
Interesting. I've always loved that song, but I've never really dug into the lyrics.
It's deceptively simple, right? Super catchy. But there's some serious emotional depth hiding under the surface.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where do we start?
Let's start right at the beginning. She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories. Just those first few lines, and bam, nostalgia hits you right in the feels.
Yeah, total throwback. And it's so universal, right? That feeling of longing for a simpler time. Everyone's been there.
Right. It's like a time machine. And I think that's part of the reason this song became such a massive hit. It tapped into something we all feel.
Absolutely. Think about when this song came out, the late 80s, hair metal everywhere. So much of the music was about partying, being tough. But Sweet Child O' Mine had this vulnerability, this raw emotion that cut through all that.
You're right. Wasn't afraid to be tender. And then there's that line where everything was as fresh as the bright blue sky. It's more than just a nice image, right?
Oh, for sure. That bright blue sky, it's like a symbol, you know? It represents that pure, innocent joy of childhood before life got complicated.
Okay, so we've got the nostalgia, the yearning for simplicity, and then, of course, there's her. Who is she exactly? I've always wondered.
That's the million-dollar question. And the brilliance of the song is that it's never explicitly answered. Is she a real person, a muse, a symbol of something else entirely?
It's left open to interpretation, which I think is part of the magic. Every listener can project their own experiences onto the lyrics. But you get the sense that she's more than just a fling, right?
Definitely. There's a depth of feeling there that goes way beyond a casual crush. You hear it in lines like, if I stared too long, I'd probably break down and cry. There's this intense longing, almost a fear of being overwhelmed by his emotions.
Well, it's like he's balancing on the edge of something, and he's not sure if it'll hold.
Exactly. There's this incredible tension between the joy and the fear, the sweetness and the potential for pain, and it's so raw and honest.
It's like watching someone fall in love, knowing that it might not work out, but being powerless to stop it. And he keeps coming back to her eyes, right? Eyes of the bluest skies. But then he adds, as if they thought of rain. Almost like there's a storm brewing behind those blue eyes.
Boom. Foreshadowing. It's subtle, but it's there. Like a hint that this blissful feeling might not last forever. It adds this whole other layer of complexity to the song.
And then there's that part about her hair. Her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where, as a child, I'd hide and pray for the thunder and the rain to quietly pass me by. It paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it?
It totally does. It takes you right there. You can practically feel the warmth, the safety. And that's what's so powerful about sensory details in songwriting. They create a whole world that the listener can step into.
And it makes you wonder, is she even real? Or is she more of a symbol of that safe haven he's longing for?
Now that's an interesting thought. Like, maybe those memories themselves are the real sweet child, and she's just a way to access them.
I love that idea. It's like he's trying to recapture something lost, to find solace in those memories, especially when the thunder and rain of life start to close in.
It makes me think about how we all use different things to cope with difficult times. For some people, it's music. For others, it's being in nature or spending time with loved ones.
Right. We all have our own versions of that warm, safe place. And then, of course, there's that question that keeps coming back. Where do we go now? It builds and builds until it's almost desperate.
Right, and it's never answered. It's just left hanging there. Is it about the relationship? A broader existential question? We don't know.
But it's such a powerful question to leave the listener with. It makes you think about your own life, your own choices, and where you're headed.
It's like Axl's inviting us to complete the song, to find our own meaning in that question. And honestly, that's what great art does, right? It sparks conversation. It makes you think. It stays with you long after it's over.
Sweet Child O' Mine definitely does that. It's more than just a song. It's a time capsule of emotion, a blend of nostalgia, longing, and uncertainty that continues to resonate with listeners decades later.
And I think that's why it's become such an iconic anthem. It captures something universal about the human experience. The desire for connection, the fear of loss, the search for meaning.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that sometimes the journey is the destination. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, where do you go now? What does that question mean in your own life?
It's something to think about for sure.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time.